Hello everyone, welcome to Reality Channel. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. A tragic event occurred in the Jordanian capital in 2005 when 3 luxury hotels were targeted in 3 separated suicide bombings committed by a terrorist group aligned with Al-Qaeda, resulted in the killing of 60 people, most of them foreigners, and left more than 100 others wounded. The international community condemned this heinous attack. The Jordanian government launched an investigation and tightened security measures across the country. This incident negatively affected the country's economy and tourism sector and put the spotlight on the danger of terrorism in the region. On the 9th of November 2005, in the city of Amman in Jordan, a family was preparing for their son's wedding. The atmosphere of joy filled the place. In the evening, the members of the families gathered and went to the wedding hall, which was considered one of the biggest and most beautiful halls in Amman. It was located in the Radisson Sas Hotel, which was one of the largest hotels in Jordan at the time. At the same time, another group of people were preparing for an activity at the same time and location, but for another purpose. The wedding ceremony started and the music began to fill the venue. People began dancing and one person was distributing juices. The employees were doing their job, and the children were playing and having fun in the venue. The wedding ceremony ended, and the time had come for the bride and groom to leave the venue, surrounded by their families, as they were showered with flowers. In that moment, a massive explosion occurred, causing fires to ignite all over the venue. There were 2 suicide bombers among them, both wearing explosive belts. They detonated themselves among the people. It was a strong explosion that shook the ground. The roof collapsed, making their vision blurry and unable to realize what was happening around them. The groom started to look around him and saw pieces of the people scattered around him. He started screaming, and all that could be heard in the place. The story didn't end there, it was just the beginning, because after a few minutes of the hospitals receiving reports about an explosion in the Radisson Sas Hotel, the Jordanian officials got another report about a new explosion in another hotel. This time the explosion occurred in the Hyatt Regency Hotel. A witness, an Iraqi doctor who was attending an Arab doctors' conference, made a statement about the details, saying, "We were having dinner in the hotel, and after a few minutes, a loud explosion occurred, shaking the place, and I saw people in front of me dying." The government went on high alert as 2 of the largest hotels in Jordan were hit at the same time. Police, firefighters, and ambulances all rushed to the scene. In the midst of all these events, a 3rd hotel, called Days Inn, was hit. All 3 hotels were near each other, and the sound of sirens filled the air. The police began to cordon off the area and set up road closures. The attacks claimed the lives of more than 60 people and left between 115 and 200 more injured. The police closed all roads leading to the 3 hotels and stopped all cars in the area. They investigated all those present and emptied the surveillance cameras installed in the area. It was clear that this was not a coincidence but a planned terrorist attack. The King of Jordan, Abdullah II, vowed to the people who carried out the attacks in terrorism. He stated that the terrorism activities won't interfere with the function of Jordan in fighting terrorism and in combating the criminal terrorist groups. Over the following day, the people of Jordan took to the streets in protests that were held to condemn terrorism. The public was angry and the suicide bombers appeared in all security footage. All the bombers died except female. She was the only bomber to survive the incident, but her explosion belt malfunctioned, which would have resulted in her death too. Within a few days, after not being able to detonate the belt herself, the woman succeeded to escape the scene, and then, when seeing her within the surveillance cameras, she was tracked by the security, and they were able to find her hiding spot in a house belonging to the spouse of her husband's sister in a city close to Amman called Al-Salt. The man who owned the house was unaware of her role in the incident, but 3 days later the explosive belt was found under the bed, and he immediately reported her presence there, and she was arrested. Security forces announced the names of the terrorists responsible for the bombings, and at the same time, the Iraqi branch of Al-Qaeda claimed responsibility for the attacks through a statement released on the internet. During the years 2003 to 2006, terrorism was rampant, and Al-Qaeda's Iraqi branch managed to bomb multiple locations in various Arab countries. They targeted prominent figures under the pretext of religion to justify their harmful actions. The Jordanian Vice Prime Minister announced that the leader of Al-Qaeda's Iraqi branch Abu Musab al-Zarqawi was the primary suspect in the incident. Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, whose real name is Ahmad Fadil al-Nazal al-Khalela, was a Jordanian national, and his nationality was revoked by Jordan after the bombings. He was born in 1966 and had a long record of crimes, including the murder of numerous people. He was arrested on multiple occasions and imprisoned for a total of 7 years until 1999, when King Abdullah II issued a general amnesty, resulting al-Zarqawi's release before the end of his sentence. There was a total 3 suicide bombers. The first one was Abu Amer, also known as Ali Hussein Ali al-Shamari, who carried out the bombing in the Radisson Hotel. The second was Jassim Mohammed, who was 23 years old, and carried out the bombing in the Hyatt Hotel. The third bomber was Safa Muhammad Ali, who carried out the bombing in the Days Inn Hotel. It is important to note that these names are the ones mentioned in the reports, and they could be aliases chosen by the bombers to hide their real identities. The woman who survived the attack and was the wife of Abu Amer, whose name was Sajda al-Rashawi, was an Iraqi national born in 1970. Her husband had recruited her, and some of her family members were prominent leaders in Al-Qaeda. After her arrest, she gave an interview on Jordanian television on December 13, 2005, and spoke in detail about her entry into Jordan from Iraq and how she had prepared for the operation. In 2006, the trial for Sajda al-Rashawi began, with the Jordanian public demanding her execution. Her lawyer attempted to defend her, stating that her husband had forced her to participate in the attack, but the Jordanian court rejected this argument. Al-Rashawi was convicted and sentenced to death in absentia since she didn't kill anyone and because she had 3 young children. She remained imprisoned in Jordan for 10 years. In 2015, the Islamic State, ISIS, called for the release of Sajda al-Rashawi in exchange for the release of Royal Jordanian pilot Moth al-Kasasba, who was captured when his plane was shot down while on a mission in Syria. The Jordanian government refused to negotiate with the terrorists, and al-Kasasbe was executed by the Islamic State by burning him alive. And Sajda al-Rashawi remained in prison. This incident marked a major turning point in Jordan's fight against terrorism and the government's stance against ISIS. They decided to execute Sadek directly in response to the incident. The United States, in coordination with Jordanian security forces, successfully targeted Abu Musab al-Zarqawi just a year after the Jordan bombings, killing him along with his 2 wives in a U.S. airstrike. This marked a major blow to the Al-Qaeda in Iraq's operations and dealt a serious blow to the organization. Zarqawi was a notorious terrorist leader who claimed responsibility for numerous attacks against civilians and coalition forces in Iraq and was considered a high-value target by the U.S. and its allies. The aftermath of the bombings saw increased security measures in Jordan and a heightened awareness of the threat of terrorism in the region. The bombings highlighted the need for increased security cooperation and intelligence sharing between countries in order to prevent future attacks. Despite the tragedy, the people of Jordan demonstrated resilience and refused to let the attacks shake their commitment to a peaceful and stable future. The investigation and the trial of the perpetrators were widely covered in the media both domestically and internationally, and helped to shed light on the danger of terrorist groups operating in the region. Don't forget to follow me on my social media accounts, which are available in the description box down below. And that's all for now. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.